Hi, welcome back everyone. Really pleased you're joining us. We are about to be speaking with Linn, who is a psychologist, as well as Anna, who is the co-founder of the fabulous Tilly app. We're going to be talking and answering your questions all around survival methods and tips for relationships, whatever type of relationship. So I'm being joined with them now. Welcome, have your questions. No question is a silly question, so please do ask. And the three of us should be going live any minute. We just had a few issues, so hopefully it will work. Hello again, Anna.
Hi. Okay, let's hope it works this time around.
So whilst we're waiting for Linn to join, please could you just recap for anyone who is just joining a little bit about your story, because I know that you've experienced some very difficult, your journey as parenthood has not been easy, as well as how that inspired you to create the Tilly app.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, like you mentioned, I had a long and difficult journey to having my son. Here is Linn. Yay!
Hello! I had these problems because I was logged in with my computer.
Yeah,
nothing
I thought that was the case.
Sorry for that.
No worries, no worries. We've got you here, so that's fabulous. Anna's just introducing the Tilly app, and then I'd love for you to introduce yourself too, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I, like I said before, I mean, I sometimes say I've done most of the things that come when it comes to infertility, from IVF, miscarriages. I lost 2 babies later in pregnancy as well, and I think what all of this taught me was really, that there are a lot of things that we need to talk more about when it comes to fertility and infertility. And I mean, especially on how many dimensions of your life it affects and the psychological effects. And so this was the starting point for Tilly, which is a platform for improved support, to summarize. And we do focus a lot on coping tools. So we have, anything from guided journaling and meditations and so on that are adjusted for the specific purpose. And then we also work a lot with, at the moment, with making these guides to help you with specific problems. And one of the things that we've been working on lately with Linn and the team from Coupleness that she worked with is this guide around, how to handle relationship struggles. Because really, most of you who listen in here will know that a lot of your relationships in your life, the one with your partner, but also other, if you have one, but also other relations, are highly affected. And so we wanted to provide some, concrete tips on top of the talk more to each other things, because everyone knows that, but how do you do that? And so that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, and love to hear your questions as well.
And before we move on to that, just to say that the guide, the relationships guide that Anna has just mentioned, we've linked it up in our bio, so head to that so that you can download it. And welcome, Linn. Please tell us a bit more about you.
Yes, thank you. Sorry for the delay. I'm working as a psychologist and psychotherapist and sexologist, and I've been working with couples for over 30 years. And I have also one personal experience out of a very traumatic miscarriage in the week of 20. So it was very traumatic, and even though I have the tools for handling struggling things with my education, but when you are into it yourself, then you're only a human being. So I can really understand the hard feelings and the struggle all the people have out there with this kind of problems, and with the disappointment and the sorrow with everything that follows.
Absolutely. And so in terms of we had some questions come in terms of the emotional stress that comes with struggling with fertility and how that can really affect relationships. We've had quite a few people sort of send messages saying that, not so much questions, but more voicing that they have found that friends have distanced themselves, or family members haven't reacted in the way that they've wanted to, because they may not they may not understand exactly what they're going through. So how do people cope with relationships struggling and changing when people don't necessarily appreciate or not appreciate but fully understand or have empathy with the struggle that might be happening?
I believe that the most important keyword in this is to have the tools for communicate. You know, you have to really be patient about that you experience things very differently, and the way you feel is maybe not how your partner feels about the same thing. You have the different you are in the same process, but you are in the same journey, but you have different ways to struggle with everything that's coming up on the road. So when I was preparing for this Insta Live, I was really thinking about what would I have been helpful for me in that position I was when I had this very traumatic miscarriage, for example, and struggled to be pregnant again. I felt that I was the one who was more to be more eager to have the to have the positive outcome again than my partner. So I think that's kind of common misbalance between a couple. And for example, how to handle that one is the first thing is just to dare to communicate, because silence can kill. And in the worst case scenario, you can develop a downward spiral that affects your relationship very, very negative. And for a more concrete example, maybe you can take a walk and talk regularly for just having a chat about that specific topics around that, things, so that you have a special time and place for just discuss every feelings about the issue. And the other thing I was thinking about was try to be humble, about your different ways to approach to the task and to the target, because we are different, and we have to accept that my way is a way to manage, but my partner's way is another way. So you have to meet each other in that struggle. And the third thing I was thinking about was to be brave and to be generous, and generous with love actions, both in words and in action, because you have to remind yourself that you are still a loving couple. You have your love and you're attached to each other, and it's easy to forget that when you are in the struggle.
Absolutely. And what about for relationships when sex is becoming a bit of a chore?
Yeah, I met a lot of couples that say that they think that sex will be more mechanic and it will be without passion, and the whole thing about making babies, it's not a nice thing because you feel forced to in different times, and but I think if you can still have some fun together, you have to remind yourself that we're two in this, and we have to be playful, even though we have a task to do here. But we have to laugh together, we have to experience good things together, and sex is one of that. And you can also, everybody needs the kind of the touch from another human being. You have to be what do you say, you have to have a daily appreciation from your partner, in words and in actions, that you feel that you are the one for the other person. And if you reduce that to only become when you have sex, then it will be very fatigue. You have to be very generous about love actions all the time, so that the sex thing will be so infected that it often becomes.
And I think, I mean, one thing to add there, which is a tip that we have in the guide, and I think, I mean, that really, worked for me personally as well, was sort of to, I mean, in some way also accept that if you are trying to conceive and if you are forced to have this forced sex, maybe some of the sex you have is going to be that. And like, you know, not to be double disappointed that there are certain times of the cycle or whatever when you just have to, you know, be in that focus and it's not going to be great, but that you can, you know, sort of think of it as two different boxes, that you also can have the closeness and other types of intimacy in addition, but still accepting that, because you also feel bad that you know, get into that, it just becomes a double negative.
Yeah, and it adds pressure, doesn't it? But also for people who might be sort of pursuing parenthood solo, for example, what would your advice be for managing different types of relationships?
Oh, I didn't follow you. Please, once more.
For people who aren't in a relationship, what would be your advice for getting support from other types of relationships? Friends, family, for example.
Yeah, I think that's a very important thing, to inventory the social network, the friends, families, online communities, different kind of groups, because you need to take support from wherever you can. But many people feel that they are blaming themselves, they are feeling guilty about the things, the problems, so they won't be able to share their thoughts and their feelings. But I think it would be much more easier for the individual process to take support from the social network. And today, it's with the technique and everything, it's very easy to find groups with different topics that, you know, fits into your process where you are. So I think that would be great to step out of the closet and, you know, just say, hello, this is me. And when you're starting to talk about it, you will find a lot of people and friends that you don't know that they are struggling with the same things. So because this is a very common problem.
Absolutely. And for anyone who is, you know, watching at this point and wants some advice, there is a link in our link in bio. You can download this guide to support your relationships, which Tilly have created. The My Tilly Guide, Relationships Guide, as part of the app. Tell us a bit more, Anna, for anyone who's just joining.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what Linn said. I think regardless of which relationship, I mean, you mentioned at the beginning, when someone else doesn't understand, whether it's your partner or a friend or a father or mother or whatever, one thing that I found very helpful was to, I mean, there's a lot of great things written out there, like on your platform or others, or podcasts where others have sort of put words on things that you yourself want to explain, but you may not be able to find the words or even the energy to explain it. And I found it very helpful to sometimes just, you know, send it on to a friend or my father, can you please read this? And just, you know, instead of all the time having to try to explain yourself. And I think a lot of my friends, at least, that I didn't really feel understand, appreciated that, and you know, had an easier time to relate. So I mean, that's one concrete thing. Yeah, I mean, the guide is something. I mean, Linn has. It's basically, we asked the Tilly community about. I mean, common relationship struggles or areas, and then together with Linn and Coupleness, where she works, which is a great couples app, we sort of put together this concrete tips on, and I think it's important to say that they actually both include things you can do in a relationship, but also for yourself. Like, because very often a relationship problem starts with yourself, right? Because you know, you often have to understand, first of all, what it is you need or why feel like you feel the way you feel, and so on. So I mean, for all of the issues, we yeah, there's two parts of it, and I think that that is an important aspect to mention.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And back to some of the common challenges and the feeling of overwhelm that our readers have written in and you guys have mentioned. What do you do about people who don't respond in the way that you'd like, or you feel like the relationship's distanced? Do you feel that you should try and continue to nurture that relationship, like with friends, for example, and try and get it back to where it was before? Or do you think you just sort of have to accept that right now you're going through different things and you might not be, might not be singing from the same hymn sheet?
I mean, I'll let Linn continue, but I think from my perspective, I mean, there's no one answer, obviously, because all relationships are different. But I think one thing that really helped me was in the beginning of my journey, I struggled a lot with that. I felt that people had to understand all the time. Like if others didn't understand, my feelings were not real, or I wasn't allowed to have them. And then as I went along, I sort of realized that that everyone just is not going to understand, and you have to sort of prioritize yourself where you are, and accept that this is not a great time for me, and I have to prioritize myself. And then I love the expression when you say that relationships are like seasons, like sometimes they bloom and sometimes they don't. And for me, it was like that. I had relationships that were not, but I had relationships that were not great throughout the process. But that have come back, in a new shape and form, or they don't. And so I think, look out for yourself, and don't force it if it takes too much energy from you.
And also perhaps be surrounded by people that make you feel happy, because it can be such a lonely and sad experience. You want to enjoy living, don't you? And so if you can immerse yourself in people that make you feel good, then that's a good.
Definitely.
And I think, Anna, that what you say in the beginning, you was very eager to that people should understand your feelings and thoughts and your struggle. But I think the most important thing is that you meet people that are able to just embrace you and to listen, but maybe they can't understand because they didn't have the same struggle, or they only heard about it or something. But but it's about empathy, when you meet another person that really from the inside, from the heart, really cares about you and wants to listen and can listen for hours, but maybe they don't understand. But that's not the important thing here.
No, but that's very true. I mean, I felt like most people around me that were the best support are people, that hadn't necessarily experienced infertility, but perhaps other traumas or losses or things like that. And in that way, they had an easier time to empathize, like you say. They may not understand my exact experience, but they could sort of just, I guess, do the whole thing of just being with you in it, instead of just, the coming with advices and all of those things.
And also probably giving you a bit of slack if you're not in the best form, or you want to not come to an event, or you don't feel like whatever it is, just letting you kind of deal with it how you need to deal with it, rather than putting on the pressure to be somewhere or act in a certain way.
But what you say here, is also if you do look at the couple's relationship, I think, the main thing, and a lot of the questions that we got for today also are about this thing where, where you feel that you are on different levels, right? That you feel something and you tell your partner, and then he or she or what tells you don't feel that way. And that sort of is never going to help anyone, because all you feel is just that, okay, yeah, so maybe you don't feel that you have the right to your emotions. So I think, that's a lot of some of the things that we have in the guide are, are things to sort of, make rules in the relationship, that always when this situation comes up or when this happens, say this before, ask someone wants advice or support. And, it may seem a bit forced, but I think you can avoid a lot of unnecessary misunderstandings, basically. But we also, I think that would be interesting to hear your point on, Linn, also, that we got some questions on like the blame game, like, when you sort of get into that one person, feels that you are, putting more time or effort into it, or, that one is feels trying to stay positive and the other one isn't, and you sort of get into that a negative spiral. Like what can you do then?
Yeah, I think that you always have to remind yourself about your strong attached feelings that I said before towards each other. You are in the same team. You have to do the teamwork together. And the second thing is what you said, to have more fun together, both together and with others, because you can't be in the struggle 24/7, because then you can't manage the whole journey. So to have fun together, to laugh together, to experience new things together, it's your fuel for the long-term loving relationship to be stronger and stronger and stronger. So you have to get the fuel into the relationship. And the third thing I think it's very important here is to connect to each other. Don't fight against each other. And that goes into to be the same teamwork. So don't fight against each other. Take the other hand and say, hello, okay, we're in this together. So let's have some fun today and do something else, to just relax, to rest, to think about anything else than making babies. So I think it's the same thing when you're in a very stressful mood at work. You have to get rest and to to take some days off for coming back with new energy for the work. It's the same thing here. For going on in this process that can be for over several years, you have to get some fuel. You have to laugh. You have to think about something else. And friends, families, your partner, others can help you to get out from the problem nest.
I think one couple as part of this, and I thought they said a great thing. If we ever had a bad day, you wake up filled with anxiety over all of your challenges, and they made this rule that they always do one small thing, and it could be like have a coffee in the garden, or go have a dip in the ocean, or just do this one thing. And they say that was the one thing we remembered. Like, even if we actually spent 5 hours on the couch crying, we remember that one positive thing that we did. I think that's beautiful. And it's sort of like you say, Linn, is where you can use other people, whether it's a partner or someone else, to make sure that is done, and you lift each other.
But I think other people, they many times they get insecure about, what can I do? What should I ask? What should I say, or something? Because okay, I can't ask how is everything going, because I know you're struggling. So what should I ask? So for prevent that kind of stressful situations, just I would prefer that my friends, if I was in the situation, I could tell them that, okay, we are struggling, as you know, but now for tonight, we're here for just having fun together, to laugh, so please help me to forget about these things that we're struggling with for tonight and have some fun. And that will be a release thing for everybody that's into that evening, because then you are allowed to laugh. You're allowed to make jokes about the silly things and everything, because I think people are so insecure that they don't want to say or do anything that can harm you, or to put you in your negative feelings or such things.
I love that advice.
I think I used text messaging a lot for the things that don't really they feel like so dramatic to say it. You have to find the right situation, and just, you know, like you say, text before dinner. It could be, I mean, it could be what you said, like, tonight I don't want to talk about it, or like, I would really appreciate that you ask this and that, or whatever. And obviously you won't be able to do this with everyone around you, but you might have one or two people, and that could be enough to sort of take the edge of.
I had one great idea now when we're talking. So, you know, when you go for a party, you very often have a dress code for, okay, be dressed up or dressed down or anything. So for tonight's girls' night out, the dress code is that we don't talk about this struggling, just have fun and let's have some good time together. So I mean, you have to get to give your friends heads up, because they don't want to act like they're not caring about you or don't understand that you're feeling bad about what happened in your life and everything. So you have to help your friends in the social network to release them from being so serious about the things that happen, because the process will be there anyway. So just give a break for tonight. Or this weekend or whatever.
And for people who didn't know, please head to our link in bio to download this fabulous guide for relationship support, which is called My Tilly Guide, which Tilly app have created. Is there anything else, Anna, that you think that we haven't covered that the readers had sent in, our readers had sent in around support?
I'm checking the list here behind me, but no, I mean, I think touched upon most of the areas, and I mean, I think we will be doing more Q&As with Linn in the future. So if you have any other questions, you can always send them to a DM at our Instagram account, of course. But I mean, I think.
Sorry, the other thing I was going to mention, which I know that we've talked a little bit about, which comes up a lot, is having a plan for every eventuality. And I know that people do talk about not wanting to necessarily plan too far in the future because it can be overwhelming. But what's your advice around having a plan in case something doesn't work out, or in case it does work out, or looking at the different scenarios that could happen?
My advice will be that I know that having a plan is very good, but sometimes life is life and it challenges us in a way that we can't imagine. So my advice will be that just try to have trust in the process, and everything will be right in the end, even though you can't understand now why you are put into so many challenges and struggling and everything, but to have more trust in what's happening, and take the you know, the today is not coming back, so take value the time, even though you want to be 2 years ahead with a stroller, you know, and everything, but today is today, and make the best out of it. So that's my advice in that question.
And I also think you have to sort of divide between, because there is the planning for every, which sort of, you know, researching each and every potential outcome and treatment option that could possibly be relevant. And I think there's a strong risk of going a bit crazy there. I mean, one of the rules that my therapist gave me was sort of a, you know, a Googling restriction, that I was only allowed certain hours per day, because it sort of takes over. And I think there it is important, like Linn said, to sort of try to find tools to be here now, and to understand that, you know, one thing will come after the other. But I mean, there are things, I mean, I loved one of the other couples that we interviewed said that they always, when they know it was time for sort of a test day, they're doing IVF, they always planned a small getaway, like for them to be just the two of them, and to celebrate or to be sad together. It doesn't have to be in advance, but then, you know, instead of ending up sort of in a, you know, social event or whatever, like to make sure time for that. So I guess there could be different sort of like planning ahead, but I mean, you after a while you sort of know also that there are these points in times where you're not going to feel great, and it's you know, it's good to accept that and not you know, think that you're gonna feel otherwise the 10th time around, because you probably won't.
Because that kind of planning is more like how to take care of myself and our relationship, so that we have the best tools and the best situations for the upcoming challenges. So I think that was a great idea, Anna.
Thank you both so much for your thoughts today. It's been really interesting, and I'm sure people may have questions that they may not want to ask live. So please do DM the team, follow my Tilly, and also download the app. Head to our link in bio. There's a huge amount of holistic and emotional support there, as well as many other incredible features. So thank you both for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great evening. Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.